Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Radiant Light. It is Sunday, November 6, 2022, and today we are celebrating community, the community that we have grown into. It's our birthday at Unity Radiant Light. We're going to be 13 years old on November 9th. I'm Reverend Cherie Ruffo, and I look forward to celebrating this service with you this morning. How many of you know, you may or may not know, most, if you come regularly, do know that we are part of a worldwide movement. Unity Radiant Light is part of Unity Worldwide Ministries. Unity Worldwide Ministries has been around since Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, Mama Myrtle and Papa Charlie, they called them, in 1889, they began the movement. And the movement was founded on healing principles and really looking at the lessons that Jesus taught us in a different way, metaphysically applying these to our lives and showing our movement is really an outpicturing of that faith. We're here to demonstrate that and live by these principles that work. And it was founded originally when Myrtle Fillmore was told by her doctor that she had a few months left to live at the age of 40. And she went to a conference with her husband in Chicago where Dr. E.B. Weeks was speaking back then. And she heard about affirmations and denials. And she also realized and became her affirmation, as a child of God, I did not inherit illness. And by believing that with everything that she was, by following those principles, within 2 years, she was completely healed, and she lived till she was another 46 years. So we're excited, this movement was founded on that, on prayer. Silent Unity has had its lights on since 1889. It's a prayer ministry. But at Unity, the movement that we belong to is positive Christianity. It's a little bit different than a lot of people might be familiar with from a more traditional background. So positive Christianity, we follow and demonstrate the principles that we believe. We believe that there is one power and one presence in this world, and it's God, and it's good. And that this power and presence is in all people. We have divinity within each one of us. Nobody got left out. And we demonstrate these principles through positive affirmations, denials, prayer, meditation. We call them we do visualization. We call in what we want, and we bring it into our lives, and we co-create a world that works for all. And as part of that, when we're doing the demonstration, it's because our fifth unity principle says that it's not enough to know these things. We must live them. And we do that in unity. We have the 12 powers that we activate within each of ourselves. And these are the powers of faith and strength, wisdom and judgment, the power and the power of love, understanding, will, release, order, elimination, and life. We affirm all of these powers in our life, we activate them, and we live by their principles. So how do we do that? How is this done? Well, Unity started as a correspondence school where they worked on the lessons, and also every night at 9 p.m. because back in the 1800s, there was no internet, there was no Zoom hadn't come about yet, but even telephones and all of these things that we have grown over the years and the decades grown to use didn't exist. So every evening at 9 p.m., people would come together in their own homes and pray, but do it together, feeling that presence of that community. So Unity, yes, even though it was spread out, all over from the beginning, has been a community. And within these healing principles, we've seen amazing, amazing healing responses from people. We've seen lives turn around. And we know that by being together, when Jesus said, we're more than two or more gathered, there I am, that things happen. Things happen in our mass consciousness. And we've demonstrated that in Rhode Island for the past 13 years with Unity Radiant Light. And for those of you who didn't know when we were founded approved by Unity Worldwide Ministries on November 13th, 2009, but November 9th is when we had our first book study. A group came together on Monday nights, and we're one of the few. We're actually still meeting on Monday evenings. We meet through Zoom now, and we study books together. We've read more than over 50 books. We've had great conversations about it, and just really immersed ourselves in all of the teachings. And the teachings are, some of them are Unity books, some of them are from, Conversations with God, which we've been studying for a year. It was from Neil Donald Walsh. But we really are able to share ideas together and then use them in our lives as a demonstration of our belief in our faith. With this, when we've come together, so many things have happened over the years. And first thing I want to do is apologize if I don't have your photo here, because some of you are a little elusive in my photos. And I went online to see if I could find photos of you. So I think with our new pledge for this year, we're going to take more photos. If you have good photos of you, send them to me. I want to put together a really great catalog. So I'm here to celebrate. We're here to celebrate all the things that we've discovered and become. Unity Radiant Light is a place of unconditional love and acceptance. Through this, we have our healing service twice a month. Reverend Linda Menard found that for us. Nicole, she's out right now with a whole other part of our group, when it's serving the homeless every week. We've had lunches, made lunches for them, gotten donations. Unity Radiant Light provides the funding to store these items. It's in a storage facility. Jesse founded the Good News Group. It's a really great and talented group of people. They're amazing. I really have been enjoying it. But over the years, we've come together. We want to serve our community and demonstrate our belief, our principles, not by talking about them as much as we like to demonstrate them, to show them that we are all one. Over the years, we've had some really exciting things happen. We've had people that have become ministers, Reverend Claudia, Reverend Grace, interfaith ministers. That's right. We actually caught that photo at Reverend Grace's ordination in New York City. Reverend Linda was ordained and is also a shaman. Joe, we have him. He is our licensed Unity teacher. He went through the program, did so well, came out with 100%. And we're so glad to have him here today. Reverend Kathleen and I followed the path to become ordained Unity ministers, which we have. And so we've had a lot of celebrations, and we have people that are on the path training now as in Unity leadership programs. And I look forward to supporting and also seeing people realize their dreams in other schools of faith. We look forward to seeing that too, and celebrating all of these milestones. We have amazing, as we saw this morning with Candida Rose, and talented musicians and vocalists in our ministry. They have blessed us with wonderful music over the years, and we have some new people coming in, and just really excited to celebrate that and have them here. We've gone to Pride and performed weddings, and as a spiritual leader here, I have performed, I think I'm coming up on 90 weddings, and presided at, and baptisms and celebrations of life, and just doing all these things. And these are people we've celebrated with or have been out there serving our community. That was our first time on the left side when we were out serving the homeless. We came back and we provided meals all through the pandemic, once a month, lunches. We would meet up, we'd cook and provide. And by the end, we started off with providing 35 lunches. At the end, it was about 100 to 125. We traveled, we celebrated Pride. We have the prayer ministry. We see Karen praying with Jean Marie. We traveled to Mount Shasta and had a wild adventure there. And we celebrated Joe becoming a spiritual teacher. We captured all of these photos, and some of these I had to go onto Facebook to find, but these are our loving people in our ministry. We were out feeding the homeless in 2020. As you see, we had bags on the curb because nobody was allowed inside. We even drank the Kool-Aid at our last Mount Shasta seminar. It was actually not Kool-Aid. It was for our mitochondria, but it was fun. We like to say we drank the Kool-Aid. Providing lunches, cooking together, even when we had to social distance. And when we, how about when we made the rocks? We painted the rocks and we put them out so people could find them. And those rocks, we put messages on them and we put them in with a message saying, you know, somebody loves you. You are loved. And I was speaking in Cape Cod, at Unity on Cape Cod, and a woman said to me, you know, I came today. I don't know why I came. I've never been before. She said, but I realized when you started talking, I showed a picture of some of the stones. She said, I picked up one of those stones. She'd just been diagnosed with cancer and she went down to the beach and she saw something on the ground and she picked up and she realized when I had shown pictures of the different stones that were painted, she saw her stone. And she said, that's why I'm here today. It just really touched our hearts because it shows that we believe in these principles. We believe in what we're doing and we're touching lives. And people who have been with us, have come and gone, we're still celebrating with, just having wonderful times. So Unity Radiant Light, we've grown into a spiritual community. We are a loving spiritual community, very proud of that. And I feel like, yes, we're turning 13 years old, but we are just beginning. As we, I know I've shared the story when we were in 2019, we came together as the community and after service and we talked about what our goals were going forward. And we really formed some wonderful goals and committed ourselves and made a plan. And then we voted them in the membership at the end of January 2020. And then we had the pandemic. And so some of the things got put on hold. Some of the things were just a different group today. But we were so quick to pivot and say, what do we need? What do we need? Nicole was collecting coats and the coats developed into all sorts of clothing and going out every week and distributing them among the homeless people because they were outside during this pandemic. They were out there. We made several thousand masks to make sure that everybody was masked up that needed protection out there. But we also worked together, providing meals, figuring out. It may not have been part of our plan that we wrote in 2019. I mean, serving the homeless was, but it developed much quicker because we were able to pivot. And now as we come into the end of 2022, we're going to be recreating a plan with lots of room to pivot because we know life sometimes changes, but really deciding, what are we? Who are we? We now have half of our congregation is online, doesn't live in a local area. So it makes us different, but that's something to celebrate. So what do we want to do about that? We want to have inclusion and really celebrate, and work with everybody that's involved. So what does that mean? Who and what we are now? So we're here today celebrating this birthday and I believe, and I'm excited because instead of it being a time where people say, well, numbers are falling or, in different groups around the country, I'm celebrating because we have new people, new opportunities. Everything that we do, there's a new opportunity. We've learned that life, we're here to serve and we're just here to do it joyfully. We're here to love each other through, as Candida's song says. And when I think back to 2009 at my dining room table in North Smithfield, Rhode Island, so we sat around and it was Reverend Grace and Reverend Claudia and Marie from It's My Health and Patty Rossi. And we said, what are we going to do? What do we want to have here? What do we visualize happening in Rhode Island because we didn't have a Unity Center here? And we decided to put our beliefs into practice. We also knew it was going to flow and it was going to become an entity that's going to be evolving and changing. And that's good. We want to be able to serve as we're needed. And if you're here today or watching this later, as I know some people are out with the homeless or out with working on people's elections, you're here by divine appointment. This is where you're supposed to be. And when I think back to where I was when I began this path, And I knew that it was time to come to Rhode Island to start this ministry. Was not ordained at the time, but I was on my way. Didn't realize it was going to take me 2 to 3 times longer than it normal because I was embarking on this path, but it's fine because it's all part of my journey. And what we've overcome and what we've created and what we've done over the years. It's amazing. And I'm so proud to sit here today with our group celebrating this. Was it easy? Not at all, not always. Sometimes. Was it joyful? A lot of times it was. I remember being so excited after we weren't allowed to come together to cook when we could finally do that in 2020, and we were cooking for the homeless, and just to be in the same place and talking to people, it was fun. Sometimes along the way we lost friends, people that we loved, but we know they're here because we're eternal. We had friends come and stay for a short period of time. We blessed them on as they moved on. But we all kind of came through this journey. This is part of our journey. And this is one of the authors that I've really followed a lot, and we have as a group, is Brene Brown. And she wrote this amazing book called Dare to Lead. And there's a lot, and I have some quotes from it today because I'm applying and thinking about Unity Radiant Light. But what I know for sure on this journey is that we believe and we are living the Unity principles in our ministry. My own personal life has been completely transformed on this journey. When I started, I was on unemployment. We were coming out of the recession and a lot had happened. I was building a business, which is doing great today. I was single and now married, happily married for 10 and a half years. But I've also completely rebuilt my life into something that doesn't look the same way it did back then. And I'm not just talking about my appearance for age or anything, but I'm talking about the opportunities. And I've been humbled so many times along the way by the beautiful people I've met and people in our congregation, and have been able to witness their journeys and celebrate with them, cry with them, and just walk together on this journey. I remember back in 2008, Joe and I were taking the spiritual lessons, its classes with Unity, because we were trying to decide what we wanted to do. And I remember I'm like, I think I'd like to be a children's minister. That would be great. And when Reverend BJ said to me, I think that you're going to be a Unity minister, I was like, nope, not happening. No way. Not happening. But it was going to happen. It was my destiny. And as I grew into it, and I needed to grow into that role, I became more comfortable with it. And Joe was trying to decide what he wanted to do. And he decided to become a licensed Unity teacher. And we're all very glad he did. And then when he decided to come to Unity Radiant Light, I was thrilled because I knew we had this beautiful light among us, and that's helping to guide us. And I was just so grateful for it. So what is your dream? What is your dream for this group that we belong to? But what's your dream in your life? What do you dare to dream? Dare to do? I remember when I that call to ministry, and I kept saying nope. Probably said hell no, not doing that, because my life is so different. And I really, it just kept coming. And when I would push it away completely, I had it in dreams. So what's that song you're supposed to sing? Candida has written some beautiful songs, and we've other musicians who have too. That inspiration comes from inside. This is from the collective consciousness of God, from that oneness. What is that drive for you? And when you think of Unity Radiant Light, what's that collective consciousness where we want to go? What do we want to do? And if you're not sure, go ahead and make that list of pros and cons. I did about becoming a minister, because first of all, it was a long program. Anybody who's walked that journey with me knows it was a long program. I was ordained in 2020. But also, that list, what happened is in the beginning, I had the shorter list of pros and a longer list of cons, because I'm like, well, I own a business, all these things to do. But as time went by and the dreams kept coming and I kept meeting all of you and celebrating, I realized that the pros got longer. The cons list was a lot shorter. And I allowed these gifts and these tools that I was learning from Unity. And I've been on the Unity path since 1989 when I lived in Hawaii. I found Unity, or it found me, and they work. When I stop, I just breathe and allow, as Joe was leading in our prayer this morning, just allowing us to breathe in and expand and release the things that don't serve us. Things happen. Good things happen. Sometimes tough things happen. But sometimes out of those tough things come the best things. I mean, how many of us today are concerned about what's happening in the world? We have an election this week. I know a lot of people are out right now working on that. How do we feel about that? Well, we know that Michael Beckwith, one of my favorite agape ministers, he says the pain pushes until the vision pulls. So sometimes when we approach something and we see all the pain that's coming from it, the vision's coming and it's rising to the top. Because sometimes the things that rise to the top are the things that have to be healed before we can see the true vision, before we can feel that, see the success. So whatever party or political beliefs you have, or beliefs that you have, we just have to know and trust that the vision's coming. It's here, and we're going, and through our collective consciousness, we can bring the good up. Because I don't believe it's about parties, and I believe it's about topic. What do we believe in? What do we want? What do we want to experience? So we have to do our own individual work consistently. We have to use these tools, these things that we learn consistently. And I know, and I celebrate with most of you, and you do. We're a long way from being done, personally and at Unity Radiant Light, because there's growth and healing that needs to happen in our world. And we know that. We know it has to happen where we live. We know it has to happen in our country and in the world. And by us standing up and taking these amazing tools for healing and applying them to everything, including ourselves, our communities, and the world, we're creating good change. And that is good. That we believe in. And when we do that, and when I look at Unity Radiant Light and think about what do we want to become, we're role models for that. You know, one of the best things that you can do, that is practice your principles, practice that faith. And when people begin to notice that your life has changed, or how happy you are, or, that things are moving consistently on. And even during the troublesome times when we have things to deal with that might have broken us in the past, they see we're walking through it with a smile, that we're walking through it with courage. And we know that is one of the best things we can do. So whatever that dream you have, be courageous about it. Brene Brown says that owning our own story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. And I did that in the beginning when I had that call to ministry. So embracing our vulnerabilities is risky, not nearly dangerous as giving up on love and belonging and joy. The experience that we make us the most vulnerable. It's only when we're brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover the infinite power of our light. And that's what I think of when we were trying to decide on what to name our ministry. Unity, of course, was in it, but we saw the radiant light, the potential in that radiant light coming out of that. And we stepped into that. So together we can be bold. Together we can be part of this amazing solution in this world. But we have to practice it on a daily basis. We have to take our own tools, apply them to our lives, to our communities, and not hide. This time now, as we have moved out from after the pandemic and working with the homeless and moving into the communities, we need to be socially engaged. And I'm not saying to be out there in marches. If you can do that if you want, that's fine. But look to what Jesus said. He walked bravely. He healed people. He helped create a consciousness of oneness. He practiced his principles. I'm not saying we say that as an organization, we don't mix spirituality and politics, and we don't, because you can't, my personal belief and the belief in Unity Radiant Light is if you represent one party or candidate, then you're leaving out part of your congregation who may support another. So it's not about us making favoritism in politics. What it's about is us standing up for the topics, for the good in the world, wanting the people to be fed, wanting and holding for people to be healed, and spreading love and being a place where people feel safe to be able to come together and share. We want to make a difference in our world. And community is a place of, I see it as a courageous culture, which Brene Brown talked about. And we know the courage to be vulnerable is not about winning or losing. It's about the courage to show up when you can't predict or control the outcome. We're not relying on whatever these outcomes are, whether it coming from the weather or political elections or anything. It's about us being together as a community and celebrating that and building this courageous culture in the oneness and standing up and serving one another and loving one another. I'm proud to be part of this courageous community. Very proud to be part of it. Knowing that it's a place where, we really don't gossip. It's a place where we come together and say, what can we do to make a difference? When somebody is down or has a diagnosis that can be, having a human experience, it can be scary. It's about us coming together and loving them through. When Reverend Grace recently, she published this book, Buddha Rebel, when she was getting the call to write a book, I remember her saying, I'm not doing it. I can't do that because I'm a published author. And I can tell you one of the scariest things to do is to write a book and then be open to the criticism of the people around you, because people, see it as an opening to your life and they're going to evaluate it. But she did it. She published it. It's out there. I did it. I'm writing my second one right now. But it's not about writing a book or a song. It's to look inside to see what your music is and be courageous, to stand up and do it, and to know that you have a community behind you that's going to celebrate that. To build courage in teams and organizations, we have to cultivate a culture in which brave work, tough conversations, and whole hearts are the expectation. Armor is not necessary or rewarded. As we go forward into 2023 and we have our planning teams deciding where are we going, what are we going to do, what is Unity Radiant Light? We're a place without walls. We may have walls somewhere. Move towards that. We have to decide collectively at some point. But to do it, to know that we're in a safe place to do it, we can be courageous, we can dare to lead, and we can dream big. Because that's who we are. So as we take time, especially during the holidays coming, to pray and meditate and love each other, get excited. Know that community is what we've done, what we're building here at Unity Radiant Light. And I can't wait to this next part of the journey. I love you all, and I'm so glad you're on this journey. And we know that courage is contagious. A critical mass of brave leaders is the foundation of an intentionally courageous culture. Every time we are brave with our lives, we make the people around us a little braver and our organizations bolder and stronger. So let's do that together. And you know what? Let's have fun doing that together. Because what we know matters, but who we are matters more. Who and what are we individually? Who and what are we as community at Unity Radiant Light? We're going to be asking those questions a lot in the upcoming weeks. And remember, always remember, from the day that we sat at my dining room table in 2009 to today, where we sit at the table with different leaders and we have a congregation, no one belongs here more than you. You are what makes Unity Radiant Light. So we take that collective breath in, just breathe that in, feel that excitement. I feel so blessed by each person that's here. So with our mics muted, we're going to say our meditation affirmation. I am open and receptive to the spirit of truth, healing in me what needs to be healed and revealing to me what needs to be revealed. And we know that's coming. So in our celebration of our anniversary, I'm using one of the Unity Worldwide meditations this morning.
Remembering there is only one thing going on here, Spirit. There is only one divine essence permeating all things seen and unseen, and it is what I call God. And I know I am one with it. And so from this place of knowing, I bring my focus to my heart center. I allow the whirling thoughts of the day to be set aside just for a moment as I get centered in prayer. So take this moment as you focus on your heart center to rest in the stillness and the awareness of Spirit. Focused on the oneness, focused on Spirit. I know there is only Spirit, only God. I move, breathe, and have my being at the center of it. I know it is responsive to my deep-held feelings, thoughts, and beliefs. So today I bring my focus to feelings that are empowering, feelings that are good. I take a moment now to focus on the love that is at the core of my being. I know that as I center myself in this stillness, in this awareness of Spirit, that anything is possible. And as I recognize that Spirit always says yes to me, I make all of my desires and requests good ones. Ones that are empowering, fulfilling, loving, and filled with gratitude. Centered in God, all is well. And I allow even more of the good to flow into my life in this time of recognition. I know that I am the author of my life, and Spirit says yes. So today, I am peace. Today, I know that I am love as I align with the power of love. Today, I know that I am filled with gratitude as I align with the goodness of Spirit. My heart is filled with gratitude, knowing that Spirit is at the core of who I am. I live, move, and have my being fully supported by this benevolent love. I move forward in grace, in peace, and in absolute confidence. My life is so blessed, and Spirit blesses me even more. So with a grateful heart, I allow this prayer into the universe, into the mind of God, knowing it is already done.